Hey, what's happening? Can't expat Tommy Scoville not on time? Yeah, telling you, Tommy Bird, I'm worthless. I'm blaming this one on my much older brother. It's his fault. Um, what's with this fashionably late BS, Tommy, you diva? You know what, Jeffrey? Guilty as charged, man. Guilty as charged. Hey, check it out. Squirrel Nut Zipper. You guys remember the old SNZ, don't you? Roberta, good to see you. DS Kitty Diane, how are you? Good to see you. Blue Bayou, Jane Aldrich, how are you, my friend? Welcome. Glad that you're here. Really am. It's, you know what? Looks like we got a little signal. Everyone must be out partying. Becky USA, welcome. Just Joan, how are you? Honestly, I was just walking the boardwalk. Nobody out there, man. It was dead. Everybody I saw was a cop. Jigsaw, good to see you again, bro. Cliff and Ferguson, what's happening? Krista Melinda, always an honor. Barbara Aldrich, there you are. Now we can start this. Tony Suter, welcome. Glad you're here. Alex Moore, hey. Trisha Holland, good to see you. You know what? It's nice to say hi to people again. It really is. It's a habit I got out of for a while, but it's nice to kind of get back into it. And we're going to touch on some stuff today that I really dig. I think it's kind of important. Aunt KK, how are you? Lisa Trimble. Can't stay long. Your pillow is calling you. Well, have a good night's sleep, Lisa. Really appreciate you. Whine a little bit more. Yeah, fashionably late. I suck. I blame my older brother. Chili Phil, how you doing? It's going good. I'll tell you something about my brother, the Johnny Scoville. I don't know if he came correct, but I watched him eat some hot sauce today at lunch. And you would have thought that it was a 12 pack of Carolina Reapers. I'm sorry. He's gotten just a little soft, folks. A little out of practice, man. There really is something to that whole tolerance thing because the drink. Let's just say that Johnny went to the water one too many times after the hot sauce. It was almost embarrassing. You know, I think I said more than once. This is the Johnny Scoville. Damn, man, really does prove it. He said it was hot and it gave him a burn. Oh, he told you guys. I'm shocked. I really am. It gave him a hell of a burn. It really did. He looked at me and just said, taste this and tell me if this is really hot or if it's just me. Are you kidding? Right? I mean, I'm not that dumb. You know how many times he has said to me, taste this and tell me if it's really hot? Yeah. Right? Fool me once. Shame on whatever. Fool me 600 times. And it's probably not a good indicator on my intelligence level. What do you say there, Zip? She is, she's going to go fight her sister. So I want to talk today about a subject that we talked about. Hey, Brave. Smell this. Does it smell bad to you? Yeah, same type of thing, man. Same type of thing. Your lunch looked wonderful. Becky, it was. I'm telling you. And I'm sure that it's starting to all look the same, but I really dig ceviche. It's just one of those things that my brother and I have always been really big fans of. And Salinas, Ecuador, there is not a restaurant in this place that does not only serve ceviche, but claim that they make the best on all of in all of the city. And so far, they're all on the money. I honestly couldn't say to you this one is better than that one or whatever. It's been absolutely phenomenal. Hey, could you make a little less noise using the toilet? That's your cat, you know. That cat is such a kitten, man. It really is. She's like 13 pounds, but she is such a kitten. Do me a favor, folks. I am a YouTuber. I'm not sure if you've heard. Hit that subscribe button. If you've not subscribed, trust me. This is someplace that you're going to want to be. We're going to talk about some things here that I used to talk about more often a long time ago, but I'd like to get back to. I spent a lot of time working with a lot of people trying to help them get off dope, help them stay off dope. And one of the things that occurred to me, hope between the dreams, good to see you. Hey, Trisha. Something occurred to me, and it was that we lost way more battles than we won. In fact, forget the lifeboat or anyone else. Take any single type of rehab. It doesn't matter whether it's inpatient, outpatient, whatever it is. The success rate is right around 20%, right? Or another way to put that is 80% of people that try fail. And that's a terrible rate, right? And I think that one of the reasons is, and I was so guilty of this that I probably did as much damage in the beginning as I did help. Not obviously intentionally, but there's an all or nothing mentality, right, in sobriety, where you're going to go completely cold turkey and you're going to do this right. In fact, you better hurt, right? God forbid you use some kind of a chemical to get off the chemical you're on. Well, you're just trading one drug for another, right? You low life. And sadly, most of that hate really, really comes from individuals who should be supporting you more than anybody, right? People that get sober all of a sudden want to hate everyone else. You know, they want to crap on you for how you get sober. You're not really sober, right? You use this. You're not really sober. You're doing that. I got news for you. If you're telling somebody that they're sober or they're not, you need to check yourself. Honestly. Big time. Big time. There's something wrong with that. Hey, Tommy, I'm real behind, but I do know you are living in Ecuador and I am checking it out. Thank you for informing us on Ecuador. I'll tell you what, I can't say enough good things about the Ecuadorian people. I can't say enough good things about the weather's fantastic. As of this moment, my only complaint with Ecuador would be that I'm not good enough with the language yet. I'm working on it. I really am. Lo siento. I'm sorry, right, for all of those people that I'm doing such a bad job speaking to. But I'm working hard on learning the language. But that's on me. It's not. There's nothing about Ecuador and Salinas in particular that I don't find lovely. And there's a renewed attitude. I definitely I feel different. I want to make you guys a promise. And you know something? You don't have to ever do anything that I suggest. You don't, right? But let me tell you what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, because it's going to save a lot of you some time. Okay? If you send me an email and you say, hey, I just wanted to tell you that Kristen Melinda, right? She's not a good person, and she does. And by the way, I'm just picking her randomly because she's a mod here. But this Kristen Melinda, she's this, and this, and I'm just trying to warn you. The next time I get an email like that from anybody, I'm forwarding it to the person that you're trying to talk to me about. Because there's a whole lot of this behind the scenes garbage that for whatever reason seems to be gaining traction, right? And I'm not having it. I would recommend that you do the exact same thing, right? That you do the exact same thing. If people start sending you stuff to say, hey, let me tell you how bad so-and-so is, forward that to the person they're talking about and watch how fast the testicles on the person that sent that email shrink. It's amazing. It really is. And I'm in a funny place. I have had more individuals reach out to me in the last 4 or 5 days, none of you, by the way, but I've had more individuals reach out to me in the last couple of days to say that they're sorry for things that they've said about me, or for shows that they did about me, or things of that nature. And I hate to sound cynical, but I think that probably has a lot to do with the fact that I'm suing someone now. I think that probably has a lot to do with it. Tommy Bird says, and that is how we all should handle the gossip spam. You know what? Do it, right? Let's do it. I'm telling you right now, there is not one warning. This is the only one. So if you send me an email to tell me that somebody sucks, I'm forwarding it to that person. And I suggest that you all do the same. I'm starting with love again. I used to do this. And unfortunately, I got a lot of the stink on me. There were a lot of things that happened that, you know what? Plenty of them I can take a lot of credit for, right? Maybe not the I'm not going to say that I'm guilty of everything I've been accused of, because I simply am not. But I'm guilty of getting way the hell off of the path that I was on when I started this channel. And for that, I apologize. It's difficult honestly, to play this game and not get sucked into the hate, and not, even if you're not firing back at people, right? I wasn't making videos saying this person sucks. No, I was just telling other people that person sucked, right? I wasn't making videos that says I hate this person. I was just telling people that I hated them when I wasn't live. And to those people, I apologize. I got off the path. I did. I spent, only knows how long in relapse. A long time. Thank you, Rose. I am considerably happier. Taylor Miller says, Tommy, my uncle gave me a necklace with a little purse and a tiny pocket watch inside. How do I send you pictures to get more info on it? What you want to do is take pictures as close up as possible of the dial, which would be the face, right, where the hands and everything else are. And then if it opens up, send me pictures of anything where you can read the reading on it, and I can probably tell you an awful lot about it. Riley's Human, good to see you. Says, hi, Tommy. I wish you, Johnny, and happiness and peace. You know what? There's a whole lot of happiness and peace going on. There really is. And a lot of it, I mean, you know what? Paradise is lovely. You know, looking at the ocean is a beautiful thing, and that's got a lot to do with it. But a lot of it is because I have let go of a tremendous amount of hate. And you know what's amazing? There are people who dislike me for this now. Huh. It's kind of sad, but there are people that insist that I continue to hate certain individuals, and it's not going to happen. It's not. I don't have any time for it anymore. I'm getting old. I don't know how much time I have, but I can promise you this: I'm not putting anything out ever again that isn't going to be pushing in the direction of love. Now, if you go, well, that stuff you're doing with Marilyn and Honig, you have the right to hate me. You have the right to disagree with me. You have the right to say, I don't believe this guy's sober. You have the right to say, I think this guy rips people off. You got the right to say anything you want. What you don't have the right to do is say facts about me that are not true, right? There's a big difference, right? Allegedly, you remember that? Huh? A lot of people got sued by Diddy. A lot of people got shut down. A lot of people, seriously, Diddy's people were reaching out to everybody. I got mentioned, right? But I said allegedly, right? Always I said allegedly, because that is what has been alleged. Hasn't been proven. Now we'll know in a couple of weeks, right? We'll probably stop saying allegedly once this Diddy thing comes to an end. But back to the whole drug addiction thing. I spent the vast majority of my life addicted to dope. And the dope that I was addicted to, as most of you know, were pain medication. Started out with OxyContin. Well, actually, it started out with stuff like Loratab and any hydrocodone, you know, low rent stuff, right? And then, yeah, it gets worse and it progresses. And then the Sackler family came out with that great OxyContin. It was gonna save everybody, right? Nobody would feel pain again, and no one would get addicted. Well, I got addicted. I robbed banks. I scammed people. I did a lot of things to continue doing my habit. Once I got out of the life, I started off with the idea that you needed to quit cold turkey. Right? There was no such thing as harm reduction. Right? The harm reduction to me meant not getting the job done. It meant not really quitting. And sadly, I probably did a lot of damage in the first few years of the vote, because there were individuals that would have benefited amazingly if I understood the concept of harm reduction, right? Let's start with something that always gets people's attention. Huh? Hey, Hope Between the Dreams, looking great and green, 19 months. Thank you so much. It means the world to me. Not an easy thing to stick around for 19 months with all of the BS, but I really do appreciate it. If a person starts to go to a needle exchange program, there are people all over the world that just hate this concept. The needle exchange concept was really not just to stop the spread of HIV and of hepatitis C, although that absolutely is huge. The idea was to make contact, right? And to get a drug addict to trust someone who wasn't a drug addict. See, as a heroin addict, I trusted heroin addicts. I didn't trust anyone else because everyone else wanted me to quit, right? And they were willing to do whatever they could to help me quit. And if that meant calling the cops or that, any of those things. So as addicts, we get to a point where we don't trust anybody. But if you start going to a needle exchange program and they don't give you any shit, they're not busting your balls about quitting or anything else. They're just going, hey, how much are you using? Here are 3 boxes, right? I'm going to leave you some Narcan in case there are any people that you know that might be using. And all of a sudden, Johnny, thank you, my brother. All of a sudden, these people are starting to trust non-addicts. And then those people say, hey, you know what? I know you're probably spending a lot of money on dope. Can you afford hygiene? Like, you got shampoo, toothpaste, stuff like that? And addicts would go, I honestly, I don't. Well, here, they give you a care package, right? Be honest. Are you living on the street? Yeah. Well, then where are you getting the water you're shooting dope with, right? Because that's a dangerous thing. Here, little things of disposable water. Here are cookers so you don't share the bottom side of a Coca-Cola can with 9 other drug addicts. And now every one of you who shared that same cooker just got the same disease that one of you has. This kind of harm reduction. Did the people quit? No, right? No. But if you can start to gain that trust and you're giving them cookers and you're giving them your stuff to protect them and to give them a better quality of life, to reduce a little bit of harm, right, in their existence. The next thing you know, when the person says, aren't you getting tired of this? Huh? If we were willing to try to help you a little bit, would you be willing to take that help? And it's amazing the number of people who started out in needle exchange programs who said, yeah, I'll take that help, right? Please, I'll take that help. Try that crap on day 1, right? Try that on day 1. Walk up to a heroin addict and say, hey, I want to help you get sober, and watch the speed that man runs away from, or that woman runs away from you. They will turn into Jesse Owens like that, right? Because sobriety means pain, right? To the drug addict, sobriety means pain. So the concept of reducing harm was something that was new to me. And the first person that introduced it to me said, if you've got a guy that you're working with or a gal, and they're doing a 1/5 of bourbon a day, that's 32 shots. If they did 30 shots, that would be better than 32, wouldn't it? And then when I first heard it, I went, not much. Right. But it would be better. It would be reducing harm. And what it does is it makes the addict believe in something that they could not believe in earlier, right? That it's possible to start to cut down. It's possible to start to reduce some of what you're doing to yourself. And in the process, the greatest example, folks, of all time is Suboxone. Whether you like it or hate it, I don't feel like hearing it. Just hear me out. The reason it's the greatest example ever, I did a great interview once with a doctor who was so anti medical assisted treatment. And then he became someone that absolutely took over as the MAT, the medical assisted treatment for an entire state, right? State of Indiana. And he said, I learned something. I learned that junkies weren't losers. It's incredible. He said, I learned that if you could take away the need for them to spend 8 to 10 hours a day trying to take care of the addiction, then they had time to work on other things. So when they started to take Suboxone, trading one drug for another, make no mistake, trading one drug for another, trading a drug that you get from a doctor that you take every morning, you put under your tongue, trading that for a drug that you got to wait in the parking lot or drive to a part of the city that you probably aren't really safe being in, right? And sit on streets waiting for somebody to come and drop something in your car, literally the entire time wondering if you're going to get kidnapped or shot. And that just becomes such a part of your life that it's normal. Or getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, right? And waiting for the Home Depot or the Lowe's to open so that you can start stealing stuff from them to support your habit. I remember days where I would hit 5 hardware stores in a day, right? And steal $2,000 worth of tools. Those kits, Bosch kits, they were like $1,000 a piece. Grab 2 of them and run out the front door. And then immediately go to the next store. And then the next store. And then the next store. I got caught. I went to prison for it. But I had to do that to support my habit. Take that addict and remove that process away. All of a sudden, you put this stuff onto your tongue. And yeah, you're not high, but you're not sick. And all of a sudden, this doctor who I interviewed said, I watched these people begin to get jobs. I watched these people begin to get married. I watched these people buy cars. I watched these people become different than they were. It's a beautiful thing, right? But it's a concept that some people can't handle. Do you know why? Well, because damn it, you deserve to suffer, right? You lived the good life. You partied, right? You were doing heroin for 20 years, right? Just having a ball. I got news for you. Anyone who did heroin for 20 years had fun for about 4 weeks. For real. And the rest of the time they spent trying not to be sick. It's different with alcohol. Getting away means go to the parking lot, drug dealer to get weed for harm reduction. You know what? Honestly, I am an advocate for the California sobriety. Go ahead and get pissed at me. Absolutely. If you are consuming alcohol, which by the way is a poison, make no mistake, alcohol is a poison. You know what withdrawal is? I mean, a hangover? It's acute alcohol withdrawal, right? It gets processed out through the liver, 1 ounce an hour, because it's poison, right? You feel a buzz because it begins to deaden, right? It starts to lower your inhibitions. It's deadening, right? The brain, not permanently, right? But for the night, we all know what it feels like, right? If you traded alcohol for weed, good for you. I'm serious. You're drinking a 5th of bourbon a day and you traded it for a couple of joints. Well, that's a great friggin' trade. Great trade, right? Hate me for that. I don't care. That's a great trade. People call that California sober. Yeah, well, I'm a fan. I'm a fan. Go ahead and hate me for that. I know people who have said, yeah, I used to smoke crack. These days I eat gummies. Are you shitting me? You were smoking rock and now you're eating a gummy? Excellent trade. Excellent trade. That's massive reduction of harm. I've yet to meet a guy, right, who smoked too much weed and beat the shit out of his wife. I have yet to meet a guy, right, that ended up smoking too much weed and smacking his kid around. But I know a lot of people who beat their wife and blamed it on bourbon, right? They drank so much that those inhibitions I was talking about, see, once they get lowered and as that continues, that alcohol continues to work on you, eventually it all goes, right? You don't even remember the decisions you made. God bless Karen Reed, whose name apparently I cannot spell right. But God bless Karen Reed. I'm glad that she's innocent. But she couldn't defend herself, could she? She didn't know, honestly. She didn't know whether or not she killed him. Because she was so shit-faced, she couldn't remember what she had done the night before. All right. I don't care what you trade, right? That needs a trade fast. Fast. If Karen Reed had been smoking weed that night, if she had burned a few joints or done a bong hit, and they said, "Hey, you know what? We found your boyfriend dead, and laying in the snow," she would have gone, "Got nothing to do with me. Trust and believe it's got nothing to do with me." But when you're so wasted that you can't remember exactly what happened the night before, okay, we need to reduce that harm. Yeah, that harm needs to be reduced. And I don't much care how we have to do it. I'm not suggesting everybody go out and start trading one drug for another. It's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is stay in your own effing lane, right? I've had people who I know personally who are continuing to do heroin, right? Which, by the way, is fentanyl, right? It's Fugazi. There's very little of the real stuff left, right? So what ends up happening is these individuals stick with that stuff because they've heard so many bad things about Suboxone. Oh no, I heard that stuff makes all your teeth fall out, right? I heard that stuff does this, or that. You know, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but most people who are doing heroin, right, aren't taking great care of their grill, right? Seriously. They're not. Their hygiene becomes an issue. You fall asleep in the clothes that you spent the day in. There were times that I didn't change my clothes for a week. Right? You don't give a shit. None of that matters. The only thing that matters is not being sick. Did your wife in Tennessee move with you? I didn't actually get married to the woman in Tennessee, so she is still in Tennessee currently. That would be relatable, Reese. And I'm not sure if you knew that or not. I'm not being disrespectful, but there are a lot of people that like to ask that question because they think it's funny to twist the knife. If you were being serious, Primitive, then I will tell you that no, that didn't happen. If more questions come out like that, then you're going to disappear because there's a fine line between honest questions and things that come off as being cruel. And let me tell you how much tolerance I got left in my life for cruelty. I'm done with it. I'm done putting it out, and I'm done taking it. It's always been a mission of me where I say, I don't watch things that people make about me. And you know what? It certainly keeps your head in the game. Because if you watch hate, okay, thank you. I understand that. You did, yeah. Don't need to apologize. I was just telling you. No, I'll tell you the story. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. I still have a tremendous amount of love for Reese, and I wholeheartedly believe that Reese loves me as well. Unfortunately, sometimes that's not enough, right? And it's kind of a reality. And if we're gonna be honest, I'm pretty jacked up, right? You spend 30 years, 3 decades doing heroin, and it leaves you a bit of a hangover. I'm working really hard every day on being the person that I was born to be. It's going to be a battle forever. And I'm going to keep working on that. There is not a day that goes by that I do not pray for her and for her family. And I hope that everything she wants in life, she gets. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And I know that there are people, because they really care about me, that decided that, because they support me, they're going to hate her because, well, she hurt me and this and that. Hating anyone doesn't cure shit. I promise you. Do you know what hate does? It breeds more hate. Yeah. It's it. And my days of hating people are over. They really are. Primitive, I didn't mean any offense either. I said that really more for there are people that come here every night and go, so, hey, what's up with you and the old lady? And they do it just to be spiteful. I apologize if I came off as being mean. I didn't mean to. But from this moment forward, folks, I'm pushing love. And that also means I'm pushing harm reduction. Now, if you're listening to me and you're saying, I don't have a drug problem, I got news for you. You got a problem that you need to reduce harm in, right? I'm not a junkie anymore, but I got a lot in my life I need to work on. If you walk into your bedroom and it looks like you haven't cleaned it since 1977, what a beautiful thing to say. Thank you, Timothy. Thank God for letting the Tommy get back to doing what got me addicted to the former lifeboat. Well, you know what? It'll always be the lifeboat. You'll notice I didn't change the emblem. I'm expat Tommy Scoville, but this will be the boat. It will always be the boat. And I'll tell you something. There are people, I'm watching other people change the content that they're doing. Sorry. Tommy Bird, that's a beautiful thing to say. You know, that it, not to say that she's my enemy, but if she is, we should be praying for our enemies. I agree. And she is not my enemy. I said in an earlier stream, and after I said it, I felt bad about it. But I said, I've never been able to hate any of the women that I've loved in my life. I still love my first wife. You know, and some of them have done me fairly dirty, but I can't love someone on Monday and hate them on Tuesday. And the last time I said that, I said, I wish I could. And you know what? That's a shit thing to say. I think what I really meant to say is, I wish I was able to not feel pain from some of the things that have happened before in the past. But you know what? Pain is an effective tool. It really is, right? It sharpens us. It turns us into better human beings. If your room looks like you have not cleaned it in 6 years, if your house looks like dog shit and you don't do anything, it gets overwhelming. We've all been there, right? You look around and you go, God help us. I couldn't clean this. 25 people couldn't clean this, right? You've seen shows like Hoarders, things like that. How in the name of God could I possibly clean this? I got a suggestion. Pick up one thing. Harm reduction. Pick up one friggin' thing, right? And say, I'm going to put this away. I'm picking up 4 things off of the ground, right? Articles of clothing, and I'm putting them in the hamper. Start knocking out a couple of things a day, right? And watch how that harm reduction will start to turn your life around. 1 second here. I know so many people here have quit much worse things, and I would never minimize that, just saying how much this channel and Tommy have meant to me. Guess what? Never again, right, will we quantify one person's addiction over another. There are people out there that watch pornography, and every time they reach out to me, hello, Tara, every time they reach out to me, they will say, you know, I know that this isn't a real addiction like everything else. The hell does that mean? Right? We're going to quantify addictions? Huh? We're going to, your addiction's worse, right? Because alcohol is, you know, weed, you ain't asking for some weed, right? Boo this man. I don't know. It's a movie Half Baked. I don't know if you know the reference, but Lilac Amy, good to see you. Oh, I hate to hear that. I absolutely hate to hear that. Lilac says, hey, Amy, we are experiencing awful things this summer because the city won't bring in the needle program. They aren't opening the park restrooms for kids playing because of the homeless are using them. You know what? It's one of the greatest examples of this success took place in Canada. And I'm going to use some phrases that are going to upset some people, but I'm talking about me. I'm not talking about, but I was a junkie. Right? I wasn't a user. I wasn't an addict. I was a junkie. Right? Plain and simple. And there were a lot of junkies in Canada that felt like the community didn't care that they were dying at a rate of a couple of hundred a day. And a courageous junkie showed up at a town hall meeting and stood up and said, why do you hate us? Why, my friends are dying like this, right? Why will you not do anything about it? Why do you hate us, right? Because we're junkies. Why do you hate us? And a woman said, well, you leave needles all over the place, right? I can't walk through the park because my kid might step on a needle and get AIDS or hepatitis. Yeah, that's one of the reasons. And you do this, and she had a whole list of the reasons that they hated them. And the guy said, yeah, you're absolutely right. And they put teams of people together, drug addicts, junkies, who started going out every morning and picking up needles, making sure the parks didn't have any needles anywhere. They started to eliminate the problems. And an amazing thing happened. The mayor sought out that junkie and said, come talk to me. And they put a friggin' dent in the death rate that was incredible. They started to work one-on-one. They didn't look at these people as scumbags, right? I got news for you, whether you want to believe this or not. Addiction is a disease, right? People hate me for saying this. Not so much anymore. But all of the haters, right? Honest to God, the first time the lifeboat took any crap is because I insisted that addiction is a disease. And they went nuts on me. Cancer is a disease, right? People choose to be addicts. Oh, yeah. Everyone I've ever met said, you know what I want? I want to be a junkie. I want to be an alcoholic. I think I'm going to choose crack. I want to be a crackhead. Nobody chooses to be an addict. No, it's actually a disease that either lives inside of you or doesn't, right? I knew guys that abused the crap out of alcohol, right? Drank it nonstop. If they didn't drink it, they would get sick. It got that bad. And then one day they went and stopped drinking. And it was not a problem, right? They didn't Jones. They didn't want more. My freak brother was one of those guys. Never made any sense to me. And then I got to learn a lot more. And the truth of the matter is Johnny doesn't drink, but Johnny's not an alcoholic. I can't convince him of that, but I promise you that's the case. It's going to confuse people, isn't it? There's a big difference. You can be addicted to something and not be an addict. You can be physically dependent on chemicals and not be addicted to that. Doesn't make sense to a lot of people. But you either have the disease or you don't, which is why you see two guys in college, right? And they live together for 4 years and they drink every freaking day. They play quarter shot, they do mushrooms, they eat acid, they snort blow, and they do all this together. And then graduation comes, right? And they say, well, it's time to get our lives together, right? We better stop this stuff. And one does. One says, yes, it's time to get work. And his friend says, I can't stop. I need it. I need it the way a person needs oxygen. I need it the way a person needs insulin, right? But we don't treat addicts like that. See, we treat them like dog shit. And if you think I'm wrong, pick any other disease, right? Okay. Any other disease. Good looking out, but I'm not talking to you. Nice phone. Pick any other illness, right? We've talked about this many times, but if you're new to the boat, can you imagine if an airplane crashed into the dirt, right, every day in this country, and 300 people on that airplane died every day? Do you think we'd keep letting airplanes take off? We would ground every effing airplane in the country until we figured out a way to stop that, right? If cars started exploding and 300 people a day started dying in exploding cars, we would stop the manufacturing of cars until we could figure out what was killing them. But 300 junkies can overdose and die every day in this country, and nobody will say a thing about it. In fact, political parties will happily allow that to happen if they think it'll give the other party a tougher time in the next election. It's disgusting. If ever we're going to get anywhere, and I mean anywhere, fighting this substance, we're going to start treating drug addicts like people who have diabetes. We're going to start treating drug addicts like people who have, right, diverticulitis, right, ulcers. Has anybody ever felt guilty, right, for having diabetes? Have you ever said to one of your friends, you weak ass piece of shit, you're going to tell me you can't process sugar? You disgust me. If you can't start handling sugar, right, and processing it properly, you will be out of this house. Do you understand? Right. Tough love. You can't start figuring this sugar stuff out. Get out. Sounds pretty friggin' ridiculous, doesn't it? Huh? Or cancer, right? I'm sorry, you got a tumor? Beat it, tumor boy. How can you not control that? Huh? What the hell's wrong with you? But if it's alcohol or drugs, it's just completely different, isn't it? Right? It's okay to pick on that disease. That's okay. It's accepted to shit on people that have that disease. Why? Well, because it's an ugly disease, isn't it? Huh? It is. It's an ugly disease. I'm the perfect example, right? When I was strung out on heroin, the damage I was doing to the world, right? I was stealing thousands of dollars worth of stuff a day to keep my habit going. That meant stores were getting screwed. That meant, right? Damage was being done. There are other countries that have decided that they're going to give heroin to heroin addicts, right? Diacetylmorphine, made in a lab, pure heroin, 2 shots a day. Come in the morning, take a shot. Come in at night, take a shot. Why? Well, because it costs about $35,000 a year, or maybe it might have been $50,000, somewhere in there, to pay for that process. And you go, damn, that's a lot of money. But the average junkie that wasn't treated was costing the city hundreds of thousands of dollars in thefts and crimes and vandalisms and court costs. It was literally cheaper to just pay for their habit. Funny thing friggin' happens when you start paying for that habit. When the person doesn't have to go out and steal to get their morning shot, or go out and steal or sell their body to get their evening shot, they start saying stuff like, you know what? I think I might want a TV. I think I might want to live in a nicer place. Maybe I'll get a job. It's astounding, honestly, what happens when you eliminate not the habit, right? When you eliminate the harm associated with the habit. If we just gave drug addicts drugs, we would eliminate the crime that drugs create. And I got news for you. 80% of the crime in this country is because of drugs. Not this country. Sorry, your country. Get used to that. Not here in Ecuador. I'm talking about America, right? 80% of the crime. It would be so much cheaper to just give dope to the people that wanted it. Now, I know that sounds stupid to most of the people listening to this, but it would be a safer country, wouldn't it? Right? You guys taking a walk down Kensington recently? And I know people go, yeah, Kensington's awful, man. That fentanyl really turned that place out. I want to tell you something. I used to go to Kensington to buy cocaine in 1987. Right? I was in college. And I used to drive down there with a friend of mine named Big Steve. Remember Big Steve? He owned the mystery machine. Scooby-Doo. He had the Scooby-Doo mystery machine. Identical in every way to the one. He was a great guy. But he would drive down there and I would ride with him and we would go to that town and buy blow. That place has been a drug flea market forever. Now, how do these things happen, right? Because I'm telling you something, folks. Talk to other people in the world and they'll tell you that I live in a third world country now. By the way, that expression, if you don't know where that comes from, it was an expression that popped up because of the Cold War. There was America, there was Russia, and everything else was the third world. It was not an insult in the beginning. But people will say Ecuador is a third world country, and I got news for you. I'm sorry. But as a drug addict, I've spent time in places like Kensington and the Fifth Ward, right, in Caprini Green. I've gone to places to get dope that would have really got your attention. I've gone to places to get dope where you will say, no shit, you're safer in Baghdad than you are in parts of Kensington. And we let it happen in this country. Why? Because if we can keep it over there, right, keep it in that one spot, well, that's not harm reduction, people. It's not. Why, thank you. That's a very kind thing to say. I have a professional voice. How about that? I don't hear that very often. There are a lot of places. Uruguay has really kind of been cutting edge in terms of completely saying everything goes. You want to snort coke, right? You want to shoot smack. Now, they decriminalized everything. Now, it is still illegal for someone to sell it. However, how in hell are you ever going to get caught? Because if they catch somebody with the drug, they're not going to arrest them. See, in America, you catch the guy with the dope and he tells you who he got the dope from because he doesn't want to go to prison. That's our business model in the United States, sadly, right? It's never going to go away. Do you know how I know that? Tell you what, you want me to prove it? Go to an elementary school tomorrow at recess. Go to a daycare center, right? And kids are playing outside. And there will be girls hanging out as girls and doing the boys hanging out and playing with G.I. Joes and doing whatever. And there'll be a group of kids, right? 4, maybe 5 of them. And they'll be spinning in circles, right? With their hands out, spinning as fast as they can, right? And then stumbling and falling down. And I promise you, those are going to be the kids that are going to be getting high in 15 years. Because what they're doing is doing everything they can, right? Everything they can to feel different. Animals do it, right? Animals do it. It's absolutely horrible that we live in a world that shits on drug addicts. The one thing that they need is to be treated like everyone else. They need to be treated with respect. And it's amazing what happens when you treat them with respect. Texas Beck says, I am a longtime lurker. Just wanted to step forward and say thank you for holding stupid accountable. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's disturbing that there are people that want to make money just saying things that, that you have a responsibility, right? You get one of these things, right? And you got a responsibility to do a little bit of research. And the more that they look into to what this woman did, the more evident it is that this wasn't a mistake, right? She knows the entire story, yet she likes to say that I was an adult when all of this happened. It's an ugly thing. It really is. And I've told the story ad nauseum. The number of times I've told the story on the boat, right? She likes to say I didn't deny that this happened. I didn't, right? If you're new to this, it happened. Happened in 1986. I was 16. The girl was 15, right? Oral sodomy. It was a blowjob. Sorry. Happened during high school, right? In school, which would make it very difficult for me to be an adult, right? To be doing, because I wasn't a teacher in 1986. In fact, I wasn't even a freaking senior. It happened during an assembly. And it's not a story that I should be telling, because the last thing in the world I want to do is drag any of this. And I'm talking about the other party involved, right? This woman wants to go to my hometown and go find this person and start harassing her. Yeah, you're a class act. But do whatever you do. I promise. Do what you do. The nice thing is that every once in a while, right? Every once in a while, justice has a way of coming up and going like this, right? And I didn't want to do this. I promise you. I don't want to talk about it. I want to be involved in it. But sometimes you have to. Go ahead and hate me, but don't lie about me, right? And although I don't watch what other people say about me, I got paralegals that are doing it now. By the way, I got to clear this up. Holy God, I got to clear this up. Somebody was telling me that in one of Reese's live feeds, I don't know if it was the last one or the one before it, somebody in the chat said, how can you believe anything these days that comes out of the lifeboat? They sold themselves to AI. How do we know that this isn't just, it's not even Tommy talking anymore? Let me explain to you what we sold, because people don't seem to get this. My image will never be used. My voice will never be used. They're using the things that I say, the way that I talk about rehab, to help train AI models. So someday when someone calls a phone and says, hey, I'm thinking of killing myself because I'm addicted to smack, a computer voice that they won't know is a computer will start talking to them. And not in the clinical sense that most people are used to, because people hang up on that. No, it's going to be more along the lines of harm reduction and more along the lines of talking to someone who's been there and done that. And for that, they offered me a lot of money to use my content to train a computer. But you're not going to see a fake Tommy Scoville. You're not going to hear my freaking voice. None of that. Get it? Please. I heard that and I thought, son of a bitch. I don't know how many times I've explained this. You're not going to see a fake Tommy, right? However, you may call a number sometime and go, damn, that kind of sounded like Scoville, right? It won't sound like him, like my voice, but it will sound like things that I have said. Why do you think countries like Mexico that produce drugs don't have the same addiction issues as the USA, despite it being illegal in that country too? Well, it's a great question, by the way, an awesome question. And here is the answer. Because the United States of America, right, has been wildly successful at creating an environment where poverty, right? If you take people who are considered in poverty in the United States, the average poverty-stricken person in the United States has 2 flat-screen television sets in their house, and they own a car. Poverty in Mexico is not the same thing, right? We're talking apples and oranges. And because of how much money is generated in the United States, snort and blow is a status symbol, right? Being able to drop $20 or $30 on a hit of ecstasy when you go out at night. The fact that money is disposable in the United States of America ends up with a lot of these. We are the largest consumers of drugs on the planet. So places like Mexico, and don't get it messed up. There are plenty of drug addicts in Mexico, but the numbers are minuscule compared to the United States because they can't afford it. Honestly, the drugs that come across the border, man, we are the biggest consumers of dope on planet Earth. I was a senior in 1986. Woo! Not the same party animal now by any stretch of the word. Well, Kelly, I was actually I was a senior in 1988, but this incident happened in 1986. That's what a fake Tommy would say. That's what the AI Tommy would say. They're on to us. They're on to us. That's funny as hell, man. No joke. That's funny as hell, man. Do I live in Quito? I do not. I live in Salinas. I needed to be near water. And from what I understand, absolutely stunning. Quito, one of the most beautiful cities on earth. Very, very old, very, very classic. Not enough water for me. Sonny says 80% of Americans are addicted to a chemical. I have read that statistic. And I don't know if it's true, but I do know this. I do know that I'm astounded when I meet a normie. That's what we used to call people who are not addicted to anything. We used to call them normies. And then I came to realize that there's no such freaking thing. And I'll tell you why. Where is that thing? You see this? This is more addicting than crack. And it's designed to be more addicting than crack. It really is. Right? The term dopamine hit was coined, and that term had never been used, right? Before Facebook. It was coined in Silicon Valley to describe what happens when a person gets a like or a thumb up, right? And then it got taken to a completely new level with TikTok, right? TikTok is the most advanced AI on planet Earth. I'm not sure if you know that, but that's no BS. It is the most advanced AI on planet Earth. When we were kids, we watched TV, right? And there were commercials going, and we watched TV way too much. They told us it was going to rot our brain, right? Well, now your kids, TikTok watches them. You get the difference? And it knows exactly how much to give your kid, right? It's testing. Every time your kid is, or you, every time you're on there, it's testing. How long can I show them what I want to show them before they'll just decide to stop? Well, they figure that out. The AI figures that out. So if they go 60 seconds of showing you something that you really don't want to see, we'll call it propaganda, right? They show you 60 seconds of propaganda, you bail. Well, the next time you come on, they know that 60 seconds is about your mark, right? So they'll give you 45 seconds of propaganda, and then they'll give you a dopamine hit. Maybe it's kitty cats, right? Maybe it's something else. But they're going to show you something that's going to give you that dopamine hit, and it's going to keep you hanging there. Are there areas of Salinas, Ecuador that are dangerous? Yeah, probably. Yeah, I would say probably there are parts of Salinas that are dangerous. I haven't seen them, right? I haven't. The area that we have chosen to live in, there are more cops here than any place I've ever seen on earth. It's just like Las Vegas. I know we have a lot of friends from Vegas here, right? Vegas is a great town. It is also a wildly dangerous town, but not on the Strip, right? You would never know. They have one of the largest homeless problems, right, in America. But you're not going to see homeless people on the Strip because they will run them off because they don't want gamblers depressed looking at homeless people. Pretty disgusting, isn't it? Well, this happens to be one of the nicest parts of Ecuador. This is the Miami of South America. And for that reason, they do everything they can to patrol it big time. They patrol it. They want to keep it safe, and I'll tell you what, it is. Right before I went live, I was walking outside on the boardwalk alone, and I was talking to a friend of mine that said, "Boy, I would be terrified to be, outside." And I said, "Hold on, you know what? We're going to FaceTime. I want you to see where you would be terrified." This is where I am is incredibly safe. I feel safer in Salinas, Ecuador, than I did in Tucson, Arizona. I'm sorry, that's the truth. But it would be very difficult to pick a place in the United States of America that you could go to that wouldn't scare the shit out of you. Houston, Texas had the Fifth Ward, and I used to go there to cop dope. And I'll tell you something: the Fifth Ward, I'm no punk. Okay, I'm a guy who's been in a few fist fights. I've been to prison. I got through Lewisburg, for God's sakes. I got through Victorville, and the Fifth Ward scared the crap out of me. And there were places in Chicago, like before they tore down Caprini Green, I wouldn't go in there. Ain't no way. I wouldn't have gone in there strapped. I wouldn't have gone in there with a weapon in my hand. I wouldn't want to be in Kensington, to be honest. There are places in the United States today that look like third world countries, right? It's an embarrassment for a country as civilized and as advanced as the U.S. that people live the way they do. I bet you don't see needles laying around on the beaches like you see them discarded wherever addicts. I'll tell you something.
You can't find a cigarette.
Not only can you not, this is funny because no joke at all. Not only can you not find a needle on the beach, you can't find a cigarette butt or a beer can. Tomorrow I will walk and I will do I'll do a little 1 hour walk. I'll do it on a video. I won't do it live. But I will walk and show you. It is the cleanest place I've ever seen. It's like you think to yourself, nobody throws trash out here? Like it just doesn't happen? I don't know if that's the case. I've been here 4 days. Perhaps they pay people that just pick it up, but there is no trash anywhere. Like I was walking with Johnny and he went, "Holy God, look at that." And I said, "What?" He's like, "It's a can." There was a can on the ground. And it's like, in America, there's trash every 2 feet. But here, literally, a can stuck out as, "Oh my God, someone threw that down." No, I don't see it here. I just don't see it. Sonny, I promise you I'm going to do that. We're also going to be taking you out to the Chocolateria. We're going to take you out and show you some sea lions. I am looking for images of Salinas. Oh my God, it's beautiful. It really is. It is. And I'll tell you what, it's
not easy to move here, I'll tell you that.
No, it's not easy it's easy to vacation. The process of emigrating here was an epic pain in the ass. My hat is off, literally, to the people in the consulate in Phoenix that did a lot of work to make the process easier for us. But I had to do a criminal background check, FBI criminal background check, a state criminal background check, which goes back 10 years, and your FBI criminal background check, which has to be apostolized, right? Which means the federal government swears off to it. And I had to do my entire one. I was terrified. People, my FBI, my criminal background's not, I mean, you know what it is. It's not good.
Mine's
right?
good. What is real?
Yeah, mine's horrible, right? I mean, I had a lot of felonies. I have a bank robbery conviction. I have gun running convictions. I don't know how many times I've been arrested for theft, but I would say it's probably 30, maybe more. I don't know, a lot. But the fact that I have gone a long period of time without committing any crimes. The fact that I had no open cases or investigations. And more importantly, the fact that I had showed the lifeboat. The fact that they want to see that people change themselves.
Redemption.
And I thought that that was one of the most beautiful things in the world. You know, when I was researching trying to move, I said, I'm a convicted felon. Like there's no chance. And here they're going to love this one. Here's one for our friend in Vermont. The guy said to me, if you're a rapist or if you're a murderer, you're never going to be able to emigrate. But if the crimes are not that, then it's on a case by case basis. And I have changed my life. And people don't seem to like that. But I started this channel, and when I was trying to help a friend of mine who saved my life get out of prison, I asked people to write letters that if the lifeboat had ever helped them, could they just reach out and send a letter? And 1,300 people wrote in to say that if it weren't for the lifeboat, they would be using, or they would still be using, or they're living a better life because of it. It was beautiful. It really was. It was beautiful, and the fact that that I could show that this is what I have been doing with my life since leaving prison and getting off of paper. That was just a beautiful thing, man. It really was. It was a beautiful thing. Ecuador saw what the trolls tried to hide. Now that's what I call the Lord showing that he was looking out for you all the while. My God, what a beautiful thing to say.
I love that one.
Wow, what a beautiful thing to say. God help us. Man, what a beautiful thing to say, man. Whew. I can't say anything else. I really can't. I'm going to end with that. Thank you,
Yep.
Miss Matthews. I'm going to leave that up there. That is one of the most beautiful things. Tommy, are you going to Crime Con this year or True Crime? A little part of your YouTube content right now. I'm still going to be doing True Crime. Make no mistake. I will still be doing True Crime. Absolutely, I'm going to. But I am going to be doing, I'm going to be talking about harm reduction a lot. I'm going to be helping people again. Here's the problem. The problem is trolls got me so frightened to talk. Anytime I tried to help somebody, they would try to get that person to say, Tommy sent me a picture of his, of his junk, or Tommy did this. No one could ever produce the stuff, right? But you get gun shy. And I got to a point where someone would say, hey, I need help. Yeah, you're a woman. I can't help you. That sucks. But I can't work with you because you're a woman. What kind of world is that? So I got to a point where I didn't feel like the United States had my back. I'm sorry. I felt like that trolls can do whatever they want, and you can complain about it, and they don't back you, right? They back the trolls. And I believe in free speech as much as the next guy, right? You can say whatever you want, but you can't freaking lie. I can't come out and say, hey, Tony's Hooter killed someone. Unless I can friggin' prove she did, I better keep my mouth shut. And unfortunately, we've gotten to a point on YouTube where people will say anything they want, right? And I didn't want to do this. I swear to God, I didn't want to do this. First of all, not for nothing, it cost a crap load of money, right? I did pretty well, but I didn't want to drop the amount of money that I had to drop on this lawsuit. I didn't. But if I don't do this, it's going to continue to happen forever. And you know what? God has blessed me, and I have the money. And I'll be really honest with you. I'll light $25,000 on fire twice to get someone like that to stop doing what they're doing, and to maybe send a message to the rest of the people out here who are making a living by lying about people, trashing people whose only mission is to do good. I'm sorry. You know what? You don't have to like me, right? You don't. You have every right to hate me. That's cool. You can do that. But I want to tell you something. The con man shit and all of that, the first year of the lifeboat, we spent $8,000 putting people on the medical assisted treatment, right? I made $1,300 on the channel. That money didn't come magically from donations or from anything else. It came from my other job. It came from me using credit cards. And then it got to a point where I was able to help people from the money that you guys were bringing in. And it was a beautiful thing, right? And then the con man shit started and all of that. And truth be told, hey, look, man, maybe I shouldn't be as open and honest with the world as I have been, right? Because I've conned more people. My God, folks. And I admitted to that, right? And people love to play that. Goes, he admits it. Yeah, no, I went to freaking prison, right? I did my time. A lot of it. Yeah. I did my time. I paid my due to society. And you know what? I won't lie to you. I made a God deal in prison. I'm not joking. I said, every day I prayed, God, don't let my dad die while I'm in prison. Right? That was the deal. Just don't let my dad die while I'm in prison. And I swear to God, I will try to leave the earth a better place than I found it. That was my prayer every day. And you know what? My dad came this freaking close. I swear to God, he pulled a Lazarus like 4 times. My dad came back from the dead. Like I called home once and they said he had a stroke. He didn't die, but he's not going to know who you are. He's never going to be able to talk to you again. And I called home the next day in tears and my old man answered the phone. He was like, hey, what are you doing? I went, what the hell's going on? He goes, yeah, apparently they thought it was a lot worse than it was. And you don't have to believe in God. I do. And I got out and I started the lifeboat and I didn't give a shit if I made $1. I didn't. And you know the proof of that? The proof of that is everybody. I talk to people. I'm a guy that researches. I talk to everyone. I said, here's what I want to do. They said, you're never going to make $1. It's a depressing subject matter, number one. You're going to do it live. There's no money in live, right? And at the time there wasn't. No one was doing it. There's no money in live. You're going to get your ass kicked. Because if they don't see it live, they're never going to watch it afterwards. So you're not going to get 30,000 views, 40,000 views, right? So everyone kept saying, you're a failure, right? For the first 2 years, we didn't break 15 people in a live chat. And you know what? I thought we were killing it. Tommy Bird will tell you, I thought we were killing it, right? Professor Patty says, don't do that. The world has enough people who don't tell the truth, aren't open. I tell more about me and keep others' secrets forever. I love that. I love that. I have told the world everything there is to know about me. And I've told the embarrassing stuff, right? I have. I never, for all of the BS that people like to say, the incident in 1986, you've never heard me say it didn't happen. Ever. I pled guilty. Capiche? That was 1986. I was 16 years old. And you can keep nailing me to a cross from now until the day that I die if that makes you feel good. But don't tell me I was an adult when it happened. And don't tell the world that I have continued raping women my entire life, right? That's a really dangerous thing to say. And you crossed a line. I think this and you are more inspiring than depressing. Thank you, Diane. I appreciate that. I really do. Honestly, hearing that story, the mistake was pleading guilty. No, I'll tell you why. Because here's the deal. This is a bizarre thing, but it's the truth. In 1986, when this occurred, in the state of Vermont, if a boy 15 had sexual contact with a girl older than him, but under the age of 18. So this girl could have been 17 and I could have been 16. The boy gets charged with statutory rape. It's just how it was at the time. So when I talked to my attorney, we started talking. She said, what happened is a diary was found and the girl's dad freaked out. And she said, I didn't want to do it. Right. Years had gone by, years literally later, they came and said, oh, so you forced? I said, there was no force. There's no force of any kind. And I said, I got 10 people, right, who will tell you that she told them the story. There's something called the Rape Shield Law, and it's a great law because in the old days, they would say, Jane says she was raped. They'd bring in every single guy Jane ever screwed around with, right? And they would say, well, if Jane had sex with 4 people, obviously she didn't get raped. She would have had sex with 5. It's a great law. But if you live in a town with 800 people in it, right? there's a really good chance that everybody kind of messed around with everybody. So I was left in a really tough position. And I said, I'm going to go into court. And my attorney said, you're going to go in and fight this by saying what? It didn't happen? I go, no, it happened. Well, then you're going to go to prison for statutory rape. If we plead guilty, right, they take that off the table, you get probation. Hindsight 2020, I don't know if it was the right thing. I really don't. I really don't. It hasn't messed up my life, right? Somebody said, I said, I don't have to register as a sex offender. Does anybody not find that odd? And some jackoff wrote, that's because the sex offender registry didn't come into existence until 1996. They're wrong. It was 1994. But I got news for you. If you raped somebody in 75, then you still had to register once that law came in. This was a retroactive law. It didn't mean that only people from 1996 on. No, if you raped somebody, you have to register, right? Even if you raped somebody before that law came in, went all the way to the Supreme Court, right? They called it punishing someone twice for the same crime. It isn't punishing someone twice for the same crime. It's just forcing them to be put on a registry so that they could keep track of who these people are and where they are. I'll tell you what, people, I would hate to tell you the rest of this story. I really would. Maybe someday I will. No, you know what? F it. We're going to do this short. I had to take a plethysmograph. You guys can go ahead and look that up if you'd like. A plethysmograph is where they take a cigar band made of metal. Looks like a cigar band. It's open on one end. And they attach it to the shaft of your penis. I'm sorry if this offends anybody. And then they sit you in a room and they show you images and videos on a screen to see if you get aroused. And I saw things that I never, ever should have seen, right? Ever. I had to look at images that I will never be able to unsee. And when it was all said and done, they said, nope, nothing wrong with this guy. Then the guy that had administered the test lied about what school he went to. He said he graduated from the University of Vermont. Turns out he went to Castleton State College. A good school, right? But he lied. So what did they do? They said, test him again. So I had to go in again, sit in a room, remove my pants, put a metal thing around the shaft of my penis, and look at images from girls that I would have loved to have had sex with, down to girls who were so young that I shouldn't have ever seen that effing image. You know what I mean? It's a very unpleasant thing. It's a practice that has never, ever been. There is nowhere left on the planet that still does it. You know who they did it to? I honestly, it may have been the last person that I know of that ever had to have a plethysmograph was Mike Tyson. It has been deemed cruel and unusual punishment. And I had to do it twice. I look forward to seeing Marilyn Honig in court. She thinks I'm bluffing. I'll see you in court. And you know what? I know you're not bright, but ask AI what's going to happen to you. Ask artificial intelligence. Describe what you have done and describe what is going to have to happen. AI is going to tell you. Your job is going to be to prove it. I don't have to prove anything. I'm suing you, sunshine, right? Your only defense is that you are telling the truth. You aren't. And that's unfortunate for you. When did you have to do that? Back then? Yeah, I had to do that at the age of 16 twice. No, I'm sorry. I had to do that. I was 18. It happened at 16, and through the court process and all of that, those tests both were administered when I was 18 years old. And the court case was finally over when in 1989, which is I was 19 at the time. Now, the incident happened when I was 16, right? Marilyn knows this because she said it in the video. Not smart. But she said, see, he was 16. Well, you've been telling everybody I'm an adult that molested a kid. 16 is not an adult. See you in court. All right, peeps. This right here. That's Katy Perry, the dopamine Maine Coon kitty. who also expatriated. I'll tell you what, we almost had to go through enough paperwork for them.
I'll tell you what, I almost killed it at 4 o'clock this morning.
I don't know whether or not, Timothy, I don't think Vermont does. I don't think Vermont does any of that. Would it be dangerous for a woman living as an expat in Ecuador? Not here.
Not with me.
Yeah, not here. Not with me, Johnny says. In Salinas, no, I don't think it would be at all. Honestly, I don't think that it would be at all. I am blown away so far by the number of police officers that patrol the Malecon on a daily basis. It's absolutely beautiful, and I'm sorry, folks, that you had to hear that story. It's honestly one of the most horrific things from my past, for real. If there's a part of my life I could undo, it wouldn't have been the event. It would be that friggin' process, plasmagraph, P-graph they used to call it. It's not done anymore. It's cruel and unusual punishment. Not once, but twice. And by the way, if you fail that test, not only are you going to be on the sex offender registry for the rest of your freaking life, right? But you're looking at a long prison term. So no pressure, right? On the bright side, the stuff that they were worried about isn't just repulsive, right? It's heinous. I have a particular hate for child molesters. She could have called me a lot of shit and I probably would have let it go. But I have a hate for child molesters. By the way, look up the prisons. These assholes have all put down where I did my time. Victorville, California, Lewisburg. Yeah. Kid touchers are real welcome on those two. Those are two of the gnarliest yards in the BOP. Think I'm playing? Google it. And by the way, you'll have no problem looking me up and seeing that I was in it. And by the way, those jerk-offs doxed me in the beginning by saying what my real name was and listed all of the prisons that I was at. So it's funny. Their stories change from day to day. And I'm sorry, because here I'm doing this again. I'm not doing this hate stuff, I promise you. I answered some questions, and your honesty probably I'm glad I shared this with you guys, your family. I really am. Justice is going to be served in this one. I promise you it is. And I mean this. You may not believe this, but I mean this from the bottom of my heart, right? Because I don't know whether I know she watches everything I do, but I don't know if her family does. So to her husband and to everybody else, I'm sorry. I really am. Because I know that her husband isn't stoked that his wife is doing this stuff and putting all of them in jeopardy, right? Because there's going to be collateral damage, you know? When punitive damages get handled out, it's going to hurt everybody in the family. And that sucks, man. That sucks. What is the name of the currency in Ecuador?
United States.
Dollar bills? We spend American money in Ecuador. Truthfully. Greenbacks. The money we spend have pictures of dead presidents on them. The majority of them are 20s, 10s, 5s, and 1s. You don't see a lot of big bills that get spent here because it is a lot. Even though we're in a different, even though we spend the same currency, there is still an exchange rate of sorts because money goes so much further here than it does anywhere else. Sammy Sue says, looking forward to some tours you plan to take us on in your new home. I promise you, folks. Listen, hit subscribe, hit the bell for notifications so that you know when I'm going live, because we are going to be showing you all kinds of Ecuador and all kinds of Salinas. And you know what? I never wanted to act like a YouTuber. Why not? I'm a YouTuber.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Like, comment, and subscribe. It absolutely helps the channel. And make sure you hit the bell for notifications so that you know when I'm going live. Oh, by the way, the other thing that I keep getting accused of lying about is that I did time with what's the guy's name? Drew Peterson. Hold on a second. This is rather embarrassing. Because at the time I was about as fat as Steven Seagal, but that picture was taken in prison. And that's Drew Peterson there in the middle. And the big fat guy in the white shirt is me. It's a 4X shirt. I was 280 some odd pounds on that picture. Eesh. But I don't know why you would want to lie about that. But I've been accused recently on a couple of channels of making up. Why would you make up that you met somebody like that? It isn't like I said I met Brad friggin' Pitt. I mean, it's Drew Peterson. It's the guy that whacked his wife. Why would somebody make that up? No, I did time with Drew. All right, people. Between now and the next time I see you, love. You hear me? Love. Mittens, member 16 months. Hi, Tommy and Johnny. Do the cats have a regular food, and can you get it there? My cats would go on strike if I had to change their food. Oh, they did. What I did was we started them on the new food, and we have been cutting the food with tuna, right? Warren Fissel, I love it, man. Hey, Terry, good to see you, DJ Daddy-O. Another one of the greats. For real. Good man. Really good man. Hope your family is doing well. God bless. People, between now and the next time I see you, reduce a little harm. And I'll tell you what, if you want to see hate and lies, it's everywhere, man. Everywhere. Pick a random channel. You're going to land on it. But you have my word. If you want to see positive content, I'm going to be cranking it out. And you know what? Other people are starting to do it, and I'm going to highlight them. I promise you. I talked earlier. I saw a show that Lindsay did that I was impressed as hell. Just a real positive message. And you know what, man? I dig that. I really do. I dig that. I think that I think that the world could be a better place if we all were a little bit nicer. Probably a silly concept, huh?
Works for me.
Let's give it a shot and see what happens. All right. I am the expat, Tommy Scoville, and we will see you on the next one. God bless. I love you.